Hi, we're here at the Zenit in Munich before the big Disturbed Avenged Sevenfold show here with David Draiman. Thanks for being back here and having us and
Good to see you again.
to us. It's been a while, and obviously, it looks like you guys just made the heavy metal comeback of the decade.
Very, very fortunate, very blessed.
Yeah. I mean, were you guys afraid that maybe the public said like, oh no, Disturbed, no, it's not gonna,
But,
they're
There's always the concern, especially coming off of a hiatus, whether or not, the fans will still be as dedicated, whether or not they'll be with you, whether or not they'll be as accepting, as energetic. But truth be told is, during that hiatus, we actually grew in popularity without even having any new product out in the environment. Not that this is the ultimate analytical tool to measure things by, but when we went on hiatus, our Facebook page had about 6.5 million, 7 million likes.
It's like mine just.
Oh, there you go. And by the time the hiatus was up, before we even announced we were putting out a record, it was about 10 million. So to gain that many without pushing any new product into the environment and just going off of the catalog spreading by word of mouth from fan to fan over the course of that 4 to 5 years was a pretty good indication to us that people were eagerly anticipating something new.
When you look back, was this hiatus even necessary?
Absolutely.
All right. Why?
Absolutely. For the fans, for us, sometimes you need to step away from things to learn your true appreciation for them. Sometimes you need to give yourself a break. Creatively, physically, it beats you up, the whole cycle of make a record tour year after year. And I think at this particular stage of our career, we have never been stronger. Not from a creative perspective, and certainly not from a life perspective. I mean, we feel better as performers and as a live entity than we ever have in our career.
So when did you guys decide that now's the time to go back, and do this together?
It
again?
really all came down to when we felt hungry enough to do it.
Yeah.
When we felt passionate enough about going back, and when we started to feel those pangs of addiction start tugging at us. The stage and the audience and the connection and the energy that you get from it is one of the most addictive sensations, if not the most addictive sensation in all of human existence and experience. So we're admitted addicts of it, and once the withdrawal symptoms started to get a little too severe, Danny and I started speaking to each other about jumping back on the horse again.
When you started speaking, it was like, by the way, I wrote a couple of songs. When do you want to,
Well, it was at first it was just in concept and in principle, and it wasn't until a few months later that Danny had sent me his first ideas, couple. 2 or 3 rough structures of some riff ideas, and then the whole process began.
All right. So how many times the last couple of months, or for all the interviews you did for Immortalized, have you heard the question like, how did you get the idea to the Sound of Silence?
Oh boy, that's probably the most common question asked. Yes.
How did you write it?
Well, I didn't write it. Paul Simon wrote it, but. It was a combination of elements, to be honest. Mike was raised on Simon and Garfunkel. That was one of the bands that was always playing in the background when he was a kid, doing chores in the house. And as far as the direction that we took with it and the style that we ended up choosing, that was actually Danny's brainchild. He felt very, very passionate about keeping the song acoustic and ethereal and ambient and orchestral, and which was kind of a hard sell to the rest of us because we had never done that with a cover before.
Yeah.
We'd always tried to make it more aggressive, rhythmic, in your face, disturbed, stereotypical style. But I'm very, very glad that he was as passionate about it as he was, and I'm very, very glad that we followed his intuition, because obviously the results definitely speak for themselves.
Do you think that there are, or have you experienced now with this tour, that there are a lot of people in the audience who just come to see you playing The Sound of Silence and they don't really know what Disturbed is all about, otherwise?
I haven't seen any of that.
Good.
No evidence of that whatsoever. In fact, the most recurring series of comments that I get is that people who were introduced to the band via the Sound of Silence cover then were so excited and curious that they tried to listen to a bunch of the rest of the catalog. Even though there's obviously a marked stylistic difference between the majority of our catalog and a cover like The Sound of Silence, it certainly isn't the first time we've done an acoustic track. There's a track off of the Believe record called Darkness, which was also acoustic and purely sung as far as the vocal delivery is concerned. But I do believe that the saving grace and the binding, cohesive element that people are able to embrace within our music is the very, very intense and strong melodic nature of it. And so people who are brought in by The Sound of Silence find very powerful melody throughout the rest of our catalog. Some of it is more aggressive, some of it's less aggressive. So they don't necessarily fall in love with all of it, but they fall in love with a lot of it. And there literally isn't a fan that I see in the audience that isn't participating, jamming out, and singing to just about every song. Granted, Sound of Silence is an amazing and beautiful moment within the performance every single night. But it's definitely not the situation that I was warned of potentially. People used to tell me horror stories about, oh, aren't you concerned about exactly what you described? And it was, they gave me the example of, if you remember back in the 80s, there was a band called Extreme. They had a song called More Than Words, right?
It was in the 90s.
Right, okay, so the 90s. They, for instance, they played Australia, and More Than Words was the huge hit, and everybody came to see the band, and they were expecting an entire set like that, and had a pretty shocking surprise when the rest of it was, hair metal, essentially. But we haven't gotten that at all, and I think that that's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
We had to wait, obviously, due to the hiatus, a couple of years for the new record. And how long do we have to wait for the next record?
Well, the plan at this particular point in time is to take some time, a little bit of time off, spend some time with our families, get some personal stuff done. We have an acoustic EP that we're working on.
All right.
That is something we've wanted to do for years that we've just never had the time or the opportunity to. So that we'll be working on in between our LP releases. And then probably 2018, we will head back into the studio to record the next record and hopefully have a release sometime late 2018 and hit the road 2019 again.
It's funny, like how precise you already planned the near future.
Again, this is the best laid plans of mice and men. It doesn't always work out this way, but that's at least the conceptual plan.
You guys are here with Avenged Sevenfold.
Great friends of ours.
Yeah, how come? I mean, how did you guys bond?
We've known each other for years. I mean, we were following the band from their very, very early days, and we toured on an Ozfest together, and we became instant friends. We did Uproar together. We've shared the stage numerous times. We have tremendous respect and camaraderie between each other. It's always wiser to stick together, in this genre. And they're great guys. They're hard not to love. So it's been a pleasure. They're intensely talented, and what they've been able to achieve as far as success is concerned within the past 10 years of their career is really remarkable.
Yeah. Was there ever a discussion about who's headlining this tour over here?
There were discussions and negotiations, not between band to band, in terms of agents, in terms of managers. And look, calling a spade, those guys have had a tremendous amount of success over here, and they draw big numbers, and they have probably a 30 to 40% female audience that's out there that we don't have. So
come on.
Well, maybe that's changed slightly with the Sound of Silence single or whatever, but they're a bunch of young, good-looking guys up there that can get their faces plastered on Kerrang! Magazine and Metal Hammer 5 times a year, and the issues sell, and you have the little pin-ups that go up on the wall, and heartthrobs and all that, and we're old broken rock warriors that are still trying to maintain. So
come on.
It's not quite the same thing, but I'm very, very glad that they were willing to share the stage with us, and we're more than happy to support them. I have no problem, being a support act to a band that has achieved so much and has so much talent.
Oh, that's really cool. So, you laid out the plans, you mapped them out. Do you think you're going to come back here sooner or later to Germany again?
Absolutely. Germany is one of our favorite markets in the world. The fans here, the passion is, almost untouchable, really. They're one of the most ferocious rock markets on the planet. So it's literally impossible to keep us away. So we'll keep coming back.
All right. I think I have no more further questions. Is there anything I forgot you to ask?
I think we're good.
Okay. We talked so much about the Sound of Silence. I'm sorry. I mean,
don't be sorry. I love talking about it.
The funny thing is, like when you released the Vengeful one, I thought I'd be playing the heavy metal summer hit of the season, which I did. And then when the Sound of Silence came out, I go like.
Well, now that you've opened that particular door with the Sound of Silence, may I make a suggestion? Yes? No?
A suggestion?
A suggestion.
About what?
About the next song you can play.
No, I mean, what you guys are going to do to finish the whole circle is you cover More Than Words from Extreme Acoustic record.
No. But there is another track on the record that, speaking of how the Sound of Silence opened the door to people and how they checked out some other pieces of material. Yeah. And you'll see it if you're staying for the show tonight. Yeah. You'll see it during the set tonight. There's a song called The Light.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people are gravitating to that track. So if your station feels inspired, I highly encourage you to play that as well.
Yes. I think we will. How can we not? Now.
Sorry to put you on the spot, but.
No, that's okay. That's our business. It's okay. Thank you very much for talking to us.
And thank you so much for your support.
Have fun on stage.
Oh, I definitely will.
Rock Antenne, der beste Rock nonstop.